Is that a giant dick? Love, Death, and Robots Volume 2 is the animated anthology series brought to us by David Fincher, Tim Miller, and more. I don't typically do TV series here on my channel. I recently experimented with doing it with The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but beyond that, this is the first time I've ever done a TV show here. Now, when the first Love, Death, and Robots came out, I had every intention of reviewing that, but you know, shit happened and it just didn't happen. I loved that show. It was fucking amazing. If you haven't seen the first season of Love, Death, and Robots, go check it out on Netflix. It's awesome. Ultimately, what it is an animated anthology series, and each episode is made by totally different people. None of them share the same style or world or anything. Really, the only thing that these short films share is that they're all adult themed. And oh boy, are they adult themed. While this is animated, this is not for the kiddos. Even myself being one who doesn't really censor much of what my kids see, there were some moments in the first season of Love, Death, and Robots that I was thinking to myself, you know, maybe you guys shouldn't be watching this. It gets pretty hardcore sometimes. It very much earns that adult theme part of its rating. So when I saw that Volume 2 was finally coming out, I was really excited, and seeing as how this season is a bit shorter than last season, I said, you know what, I can plow through all that in one day and give it a review. So here I am with the review of a TV series, and I don't really know how to review a TV series because I typically only do movies, so I guess I'm gonna do it like I do movie reviews. As I mentioned a moment ago, Volume 2 or Season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots is much shorter than the first season. The first season consisted of 18 different shorts that were all around the 10 to 12 minute mark. There were a couple that were a little bit shorter and a couple that were a little bit longer, but overall, I'd say 10 to 12 minutes each. So pretty short and easy watches overall. This season does follow that trend. However, instead of there being 18, this time there's only 8. Now out the gate, I'll go ahead and say that Volume 2 is awesome as well. I really enjoyed all 8 episodes of Volume 2 for varying different reasons. They're all interesting, neat, tight little stories that are a joy to watch. However, I will say that this season as a whole has a lot less to say than the first one. There's a lot less subtext here. While not every single episode in Season 1 had something to say, there were some that got kind of deep. There was some thought-provoking subtext in a lot of the episodes in Season 1. Here, not so much. With the exception of the 8th episode, The Drowned Giant, and the 3rd episode, The Pop Squad, there's not really a lot here that the show has to say. There's not much deeper meaning going on here. What you see is what you get. I mean, that's fine. I'm not knocking the show for that, but I am letting those who watch Season 1 know you're not gonna get as much of the brain-prodding deep stuff this season. As far as the individual episodes go, as I said, I enjoyed them all for different reasons. And I did kind of find it hard to pick out a favorite. There were definitely some that I liked more than others, but there were quite a few of them that were kind of up there. My enjoyment for many of them came in right about the same. There wasn't like that one that blew all the others away. Now there was one that I did end up enjoying more overall, but as far as just wiping the floor with all the others, there wasn't that one. For me, the highlight of the season was episode 3, Pop Squad. It checked all the boxes. It looked beautiful, it had an interesting story, intriguing characters, and it did ask you something a bit deeper. It presents us with a character that has to do a pretty despicable thing, but somehow makes us understand why he does it. It's not his fault. It's the world he lives in. This is how things are done. He's just doing what has become the norm in that world. The interesting part comes up when he starts to notice that maybe it's not normal, even though this has become normal in the world. I really liked pretty much everything about this episode and how it was all presented to us. This was one that I would really love to see more about this world that it takes place in. Now, while I enjoyed episode 3 overall the most, I can say that the other ones presented things that I really liked as well. Episode 1's view of an adult WALL-E-esque world gone amok is really entertaining. Episode 2 seems to be the only traditional animation of the bunch, and that makes it stand out as well. And when it comes to traditional animation with some CGI flourishes thrown in there, this is a really pretty episode to look at. By far, the prettiest episode of all, though, would be episode 4, Snow in the Desert. Holy shit, there were times that I looked at this episode and I could not tell you if it was CGI or actual actors on screen. Throughout the entire runtime, I went back and forth to whether this was actual actors on screen, live action on a CGI background on a green screen, or or if it was just all CGI. Looking it up, it's all CGI, but oh my god, it looks fucking amazing. This is some of the most realistic, believable, photoreal CGI I have ever seen. Episode 5 gives us a very interesting CGI technique that looks like it's hand-drawn, but it's clearly CGI. The humorous episode 6, All Through the House, was a funny, interesting look at Christmas with a splash of Guillermo del Toro. Episode 7, Life Hutch, starring Michael B. Jordan, looks really good, and it is entertaining, but it really doesn't have a whole lot to say. And finally, episode 8, The Drowned Giant, has a contrasting art style and is the most thoughtful of the bunch. Now, as I said, none of these were bad. I enjoyed all of them, and while episode 3 was probably my favorite, I gotta say that it would probably be either episode 7 or 8, which was my least favorite. It was neat to see Michael B. Jordan in Life Hutch, and that one does look really good, and it is exciting. But it felt like it was just kind of missing a bit of emotion. There just wasn't much going on there. I mean, it's entertaining, but compared to the other ones, it seems like it's lacking kind of that human element a bit. The Drowned Giant has a whole lot to say. I mean, that's pretty much the whole purpose of the entire thing, but it's almost to the point to where it has too much to say. What I mean is that it's got so much to say that it never really gets to its point. It's really interesting and an odd little story, but it didn't need to go on any longer than it did. There's a big ass dick in it though, for those of you that are into that kind of thing. Overall, Love and Robots Volume 2 was really good. I really enjoyed it. Now, I didn't enjoy it quite as much as Season 1, but Season 1 set a really high fucking bar. Plus, they had more than twice as many episodes to do it. I'm assuming Volume 2 was short, probably because of the pandemic or something stemming from that. And seeing as how they have already announced a date for Volume 3, well, maybe they'll make up for it there. At the end of the day, Love and Robots Volume 3 was really good. It had some great looking animation, some really interesting, intriguing stories, and it asked some questions, if not as many as the first season did. Episode 3 for me was absolutely the standout, and the benefit to there not being as many episodes this season is that it's not going to take up much more time than a regular movie would to watch the entire season. And even though, yes, this is available for streaming on Netflix, I would go out and say that Love and Robots Volume 2 is absolutely worth a rent.
All he wanted was this.
I have to return some videotape.
I was not disappointed by this season. Yeah, I wanted a few more episodes, but for what I got, I was really happy with it. Now, I gave this worth a rent, so for context, what would I have given Season 1? Off the top of my head, definitely worth a buy, if not a unicorn. I really enjoyed Season 1. Probably unicorn. If you enjoyed Season 1, then you will enjoy Season 2, and you should absolutely check it out. If you haven't seen Season 1, go fucking check that out right now, and then watch this season. Either season is gonna be a great time for the night. So there it is, guys, my review of Love, Death, and Robots, Volume 2. Thinking back, I'm pretty sure I've said Love and Robots throughout this review. If I did, just disregard it. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. If you enjoyed, want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Earth.
It's just what I wanted.
Now, as a side note real quick to parents out there that have issues with their kids possibly getting up on Christmas Eve night and seeing what's under the tree. If you have a hard time keeping the little tykes in bed before Christmas morning, well, while I did say that this is an adult show and you might not want the kids to watch this one, there is one episode, it's the shortest of the bunch, that you can show those little kids that won't keep their asses in bed on Christmas Eve. Episode 6, All Through the House. Show them that episode. It's only about 5 or 6 minutes long. It starts out all nice and Pixar-esque, and then it goes somewhere. I'm not gonna spoil where that somewhere is, but if you show this episode to those kids that you have issues with them staying in bed, I guarantee their asses will never get out of the fucking bed on Christmas Eve again. If my parents had shown me this episode as a child, I don't know if I ever would have gotten out of fucking bed before the morning came. Ever.